We are back, everybody. So we're coming from Lynx's room, so we want to continue on our way. So let's go up. Let's go into the main hall now. Oh my god, another skeleton. Running off and leave Magic like this hairless animal. I tried to leave Kid grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and pulled me back. Well, it can't be helped. It's only a bag of bones. We can handle this. Flung the sword at me with his right hand. I'm not sure what the proper way to do that is. I was starting to feel a little worse for her. I was going to have to be more careful from now on, or this was going to end badly. Let's check out the clock tower again. Really silent, there was no sign of light. There it is. Our ticket did not. Oh, the sword. Yeah, okay, yeah, the sword in the clock tower that she initially tried to pick up. There it is. Our ticket is not getting turned into mincemeat. The ancient sword was right here. Kid had left it after pulling it from the pile of junk. She ran over to where it lay. Looking down at the sword, Magic muttered 2 ancient blades: the sacred Ain's Lancer, and the cursed Masamune. What are you going on about, Mag? You know something about this Master Mune? Magil said nothing. Well, it seems to mean something to you. It does. Something to do with old friends I don't know about? Not exactly. An enemy, then? Not exactly. You're being weird, man. Well, whatever. Oi, numbnuts! Grab this thing for me, will you? I was still standing by the door when Kid called over to me. Who, me? Yeah, you. Or were you gonna make me lug the bloody thing around the place? I'm just a scrawny little girl, ain't I? Call yourself a gentleman? A scrawny little... In whose dark dreams was Kid only a scrawny little girl, I wondered. Suddenly, my thoughts were interrupted by a spinning kick to the chops. Gah! My body flipped over in the air as sparks flew behind my eyes. What the hell was that for? Kid only humped and looked away. Nigel also turned away. I was thoroughly left out in the cold. Pick up the damn sword, Surge. We ain't got all night. Ye gods, she was a nightmare. Sometimes I wonder why you even bother coming along these little jaunts. Dazed, I stumbled to my feet and sheepishly picked up the sword. But what were we supposed to do with this tarnished old relic? Whoa, I nearly fell over. That thing was heavy. Good boy. Right, off to the chamber of death. Eyes on the prize, lads. Dragging the sword behind me with one hand and clutching my throbbing head with the other, I followed Kid out of the room toward a place where it sounded like certain doom awaited. As we made our way through the silence of the corridor, something cold landed on me from... Oh, no. Not the slugs again. I made up my mind to step through the writhing mass when Kid stopped me. No, I can't do that. Not slugs. I had no option but to crouch down and offer to carry her. All right, hop on. She happily jumped up onto my back. Phew, she was heavier than I thought. With every step I staggered forward, Kid wrapped her arms more tightly around my neck. If I had come to think about it, I might have swooned a little. Ah, one fell down my neck, screamed Kid. I struggled to keep from dropping her as she wriggled and writhed. Surge, get it out! Get it out! She cried, squeezing me tighter and tighter. Get down first! I gasped. She had no choice but to swallow her revulsion and climb down. Yarr! She gave another huge scream. I looked behind me to see that she jumped down right on top of a slug as thick as my arm. Her boots were covered in gooey wads of burst slug guts, and a sickly green stain was quickly spreading over them. I can't bloody deal with this! She leapt right back up and started squeezing my neck even more tightly than before. I could barely breathe. Knock it off, Kid! You're choking me! I managed to pry her free, but not without some serious effort. At that moment, Magil appeared unexpectedly from the shadows and pointed to a bend in the corridor. There. A gout of flame erupted from his fingertips. The flames chased something down, screaming from the shadows, and it came barreling straight towards us. The monster sight whooshed in the air toward me. I kept my body low and dodged to avoid the attack. I was alright, it only grazed my clothes. But I still had to be on my guard. A demon! A bloody demon! Spat Kid. All that creepy stuff was an illusion. The slugs disappeared like smoke. The demon was still there. It righted its scythe again and began inching towards us. I waited to see what it would do. I watched the demon carefully, keeping a tight grip on my knife. Magil didn't waste a moment and let rip with a spell. The ball of flame slammed into the creature. Like a spell since my flesh, things like red and red fangs. Defensive stance. I jumped quickly back and braced myself for the impact. Then I heard a horde croaking all around me. I glanced down to see the walls daubed in lurid green. No, they weren't painted green. Toads? Kid jumped with surprise and horror. The walls were absolutely covered with toads, their green hides a mess of warts and red and yellow speckles. There's bloody toads bloody everywhere! Her voice grew more and more desperate as her horror and revulsion mounted. One of the toads leapt off the wall toward her. No! Leave me alone! Stop! No! She'd been driven half mad by fear. The venomous-looking warts of the toads made an orange mist with a hissing sound. The mist was getting thicker and thicker, and my stomach began to turn. And then the darkness was set ablaze by Magil's fire picture. The fire spread and covered the floor, protecting us from the demon's illusions. With that, the toads vanished, and Kid's looking terror faded. Beyond the pool of fire, the demon was drawing more sigils in the air. A complex figure began to take shape. Kid and I yelped as we jumped back. The floor had started to melt, and it was hot. Hot like the bottom of a saucepan over a roaring flame. Thick beads of sweat started to trickle down my face. They dropped to the floor where they sizzled and erupted into pelts of steam. Mag! Do something! Screamed Kid. The demon flapped its wings, conjuring up a strong wind that blew out the flames and peppered us with countless tiny needles of ice. Magil quickly responded with another fire spell. Fresh flames spread out like a net. Magil's fire spell instantly melted the ice needles, reducing them to a light mist, and still burning hot as ever, the flames surged towards the demon. It howled as the net of flames engulfed it. Its flesh melted and acid burning smell filled the air. Phew, I thought me goose was cooked there for a minute. Kid realized she was dripping with sweat and muttered a grumpy complaint. Cool it with the fire spells, will ya? The intense heat had drained me of stamina, but after the way Kid had reacted to the toads, I was more worried about her than me. You alright, Kid? What do you mean? She was trying to act as if the toad incident had never happened. But I knew it had. To think she was frightened of something so silly, I stifled a laugh. Wait a second, what's that? There was another bag on the ground. Ugh. That was a mess. My body screaming with pain. I felt like I might pass out any minute. If I took too much more punishment from Lynx's minions, my night was going to be over pretty soon. Back into the tower. Well, this place is just as creepy as I remember. Lovely, grumbled the kid. She was looking at the stains on the wall. The ceiling had been pulled back up, but that was no reason to believe it might not come grinding back down again at any moment. Bearing in mind what Riddle had told us the room was called, it definitely wasn't somewhere we wanted to linger. Quickly, hissed Madge before crouching down and examining the ground for clues. Kid and I crouched down too. What were we even looking for, though? What could the old man have left in this room that would help us bring him back to reality? The flagstones of the floor were smeared with the black, gooey substance which gave off an odd, rotten aroma. I shook my head, trying to drive an uncomfortable thought from my mind. Kid saw me and clearly wasn't doing much better herself. She slowly turned, positioning herself so that she would be facing away from the stains on the wall. There was no point in thinking like that. I just had to try. But then... the door slammed shut and the gears ground to life. Here we bloody go again! We have to stop. If we don't deal with the trap, we'll never find what we're looking for. We ducked our heads, desperately trying to avoid the blades of Judge from the bottom. Kid looked at me and screamed, "The sword! Use the Einlancer!" What? How do you use a sword? There! I drove the sword into the floor with all my might. A shock ran through the room. Beams of light scattered from the blade, covering the floor and walls, and then racing forward. The ceiling gave an almighty judder, then stopped. We made it! I sank to the floor helplessly, my heart racing. Hey, what's that? Kid was pointing at a part of the wall. It was where we'd seen the message written in blood. Guess we found what we're looking for. Part of the wall had collapsed, revealing a cavity behind what looked like a piece of solid stone. Inside, I could see something glinting faintly in the darkness. Kid reached in with her fingertips, carefully extracting whatever it was from within. It was a slender ring with a delicately engraved design that looked like overlapping ferns. The ring was adorned with several small rubies in a pattern that resembled a bunch of grapes. The crest of acacia. This must be an acacian signet. Kid put the ring on her middle finger, where it sat uneasily. It didn't seem to be her size. The rubies gave off an eerie glint. Right, let's not spend any more time in here than we have to. We'd managed to foil the trap and retrieve the acacian signet. I left the Einlancer where it stood, and we exited the room. Alright, one moment. Alright. Just keep going. Having retrieved the acacian signet, we returned to the old man's cell. As soon as we got there, Madge took a step forward and grabbed onto the bars. They creaked and groaned as he heaved at them, gritting his teeth as he summoned every ounce of his might. Slowly, they bowed apart. He stepped into the cell through the gap, and Kid and I followed. The old man was exactly as we had left him, staring into space and muttering meaningless words. Kid walked over to him and crouched down. She grabbed him by the collar and yelled at him, "Wakey, wakey, Granddad!" "We've got a few questions for you. Here, get an eyeful of this. Ring any bells, Kid waved the acacian signet in his face, shaking him roughly all the while. The old man's head lolled as he simply allowed himself to be manhandled. I asked Magil to make Kid stop. I looked at Magil in horror. Is this how we're going to break through his shell? Fear not, this approach is as good as any. But do we even have the right to drag the poor man back into reality like this? Hasn't he suffered enough? I am prepared to do anything to achieve our goal. Magil stared right through me with that ice-cold gaze. Oh, an Acacian signet, the symbol of our vows, bestowed only upon sworn Acacian dragoons. A low voice, almost a moan. I spun around in surprise. His eyes began to cloud once more. So my former allies have finally come for me. I am to blame. It is because of my indiscretion that the frozen flame was stolen, and that all of the Acacian dragoons. Only I remain here in the manor. But now all is well, for you have returned. Oh, Melgid, Zoranda, where have you been all this time? Did you all return to Lake Stoic? Never mind all that, Granddad. Where's the frozen flame? Give us a clue. Anything. Come on, out with it. I couldn't decide if Kid sounded more annoyed or more desperate. The frozen flame? The old man looked momentarily confused, and then a wan smile crossed his face. My lord, my word, Lady Riddle, it has been far too long since last I had the pleasure. Why, you need only turn the third candlestick from the left as you enter the main hall. That will open the underground vault, as you know. Kid wrapped her arms around the old man and held him tight, and then in a trembling voice she whispered, I'm sorry. I promise we'll get it back. Ah! Gah! The man recoiled in horror and then began to sob once more. I am to blame. It's all my fault. Forgive me. Forgive me. Look, if you want to get out of here, now's your chance. But it was no use. He was too busy cowering and wailing to hear me. We're done here, Serge. We can't blame him. Or we can't help him, and there's things we need to be doing. Thank you, I whispered to the old man before following Kid and Magil out of the dungeon. Okay, so we did that. Now we know about the third. Now we know about the third candlestick. Yeah, I'm getting clobbered by these guys. I think you said like third candlestick on the right. Dozens of candles provided a dim, flickering light, descending the corners of the room, dancing in and out of shadow. The great hall was filled with a heavy silence, a silence unbroken save for the ticking of a large clock that slowly counted the passage of time, as if waiting for something. Several portraits glared down at us with cold eyes as we moved through the feeble glow of the candles. Third candlestick from the left, whispered Kid. 1, 2, 3. There. She reached out towards it. I held my breath as I watched. Say your prayers, Lynx. We're coming for you. Kid turned the candlestick. The room trembled with a sudden rhythmic rumbling sound as if a massive gear was turning. What's that? For a moment I felt a strange sensation, as if I was floating. Do you feel that? I started to stagger. The entire room seems to be moving downward, came the reply from Magil. I couldn't quite believe it, but I also couldn't deny the feeling of downward motion. The main hall was sinking into the earth. And then another rumbling. The room's descent rapidly accelerated. A cold sweat dripped from my back. My heart filled with a mixture of fear and anticipation. What was waiting for us down there? The frozen flame. Our prize at the end of this little adventure. What was it really? Would it live up to our expectations? I tightened my fist, which was slick with sweat. What were Kid and Magil thinking? Everyone remained veiled in silence. response to my thoughts, a quiet voice came from next to me. Sometimes It was Kid. I looked over to see her standing stiffly, staring forward with her hands clenched into fists. Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in a losing battle. A fight I'll never win, no matter what I do. It was a side of her I'd never witnessed before. Even from this angle, I could see fear and doubt flickering across her face. I felt the tender sting in my heart. We'll win, I promise. There's nothing to worry about. We'll win in the end, I promise. Heh, Drago. She gave me a gentle smile. Can't promise anything in this world, Surge. There are no guarantees. But thanks anyway. She grinned again, seeming a little embarrassed, then looked me straight in the eye. Then I had the strangest sensation. This wasn't Kid, or not the only kid, anyway. I was overwhelmed by the inexplicable oddness of the idea. She noticed immediately, of course, and our little moment was over. The kid I knew was back in the room. Trying to catch flies, mate. Sorry. It's just that for a moment there, it felt like you were someone else. What are you on about? Kid gave me a confused look, tilting her head. It must be because we are drawing near to the frozen flame. Natural's voice, as soft as ever, slipped unbidden from the shadows. What the heck are you two on about? The kid turned towards him with another puzzled frown. There was another self within you, struggling against the pull of the abyss. But what has she been talking about? A crash split the silence as if we collided with something. A metallic sound scraping filled the air. The room rocked, and finally we came to a halt. Looks like the end of the line. All change. Oh. The swelling grandeur of the organ suddenly filled the air. No one has so much as touched it, yet the keys and pedals were moving by themselves. The melody it played was both unsettling and sad. The funeral tune, isn't it? Way to greet your guests. Kid took a long stride forward, then turned to face me and Magil. Come on, let's go. Magil and I gently nodded our assent. Kid grinned, then turned back to the door. I'm coming for you, Lynx. This is the end for you. And with that, she led us from the room. We continued down a long, dark corridor, the walls slick with condensation. The air was thick and heavy, as though ripe with the stench of death. We were really getting close to Lynx's hidden vault at last. Was there any turning back now for any of us? There was something strange about Kid that night. Magil didn't seem to be his usual self either. To begin with, it was vanishingly rare to see him speak so much, let alone show any kind of emotion. What happened to make them change like that? Unable to take the silence anymore, I decided to speak. I had to ask the question that had been on my mind all this time. Why do you want the frozen flame so badly? Hey kid, why do you want the frozen flame so badly? All I got in reply was a cold echo of her footfalls. I should have known. She didn't like to talk about her reasons for doing things. After all, it was a topic that was likely to lead to a discussion of her past. Then she spoke, though it was almost a whisper. I'm doing it for Sis. Before she died, she told me to find the frozen flame and bury it. Bury it where? Her old mate's grave. Kid looked at her feet as she walked. She wasn't any real sister, but she was good as family to me. When she took me in, I was bloody helpless. Couldn't remember a thing, and I was barely old enough to survive on my own. She didn't go into much detail about who her mate was, but I can remember. But the best I can remember is that I needed to find the grave of a girl who married another mate of hers and died not long after. She said that's where the frozen flame should be laid to rest, or something like that. To be honest, I wasn't paying much attention at the time. It's not like I could have known what was about to happen. When she disappeared and I realized she wasn't coming back, though, I swore I'd make good on what she asked me to do. I'd nab the frozen flame from that rat bastard Lynx and get my revenge. Kid's eyes almost seemed to glow with heat in the cold night air. I'll make him pay for everything he's done, no matter what it takes, even if it kills me. And then she fell silent. Sorry, kid. I didn't mean to bring up something so painful. There was a pause before she replied. Nah, you're alright. I should have said something sooner, before I roped you into this. Sorry. Silence reigned supreme as I fumbled around to try and find something to say in reply. But all that filled the darkness of the corridor was the sound of yet more footsteps. Suddenly, Magil stopped in his tracks. Wait. Huh? Kid turned around, puzzled. Just then, a powerful light surged across the floor, and a ring-shaped sigil appeared. Damn it! A blood circle! Kid and Magil were at least quick enough to try and jump clear, but they weren't quite quick enough. The three of us were trapped in a circle of blinding light. sigil rotated left and right with us at the center, cutting off all routes of escape. God, we're trapped. A wall of heat and wind grew up around us, and swirling lines and spirals of light assailed us wherever we turned. Don't let the light mesmerize you. Cover your eyes, shouted Nigel, raising a hand over his mask. Turn with the light, not against it. There has to be a way out. What? I barely even understand what's going on. Kid's elbow brushed against the wall of light surrounding us, sending sparks flying. Be careful. Merely to touch it is more than enough to harm you. Stay well back. I slowly turned my body to follow the movements of the ring of light, looking for a gap to escape from. Turn to the right 3 times. 3 steps to the right. There, I see it. That's our way through. Found a gap in the wall of light and carefully walked through. Kid, Magil, this way. We managed to get through the barrier and escape, but we were not out of the woods yet. There was still another wall of light swirling with a great wind in front of us. Left twice. 2 steps to the left. There, I see it. That's our way through. Found a gap in the wall of light and carefully walked through. Kid, Magil, this way. We managed to get through the barrier and escape, but we were not out of the woods yet. There was still another wall of light swirling with a great wind in front of us. Steps to the right. There, I see it. That's our way through. Grab the long light, walk through. Kid, Magil, this way. Suddenly, my body felt light and I staggered 2 or 3 steps forward. We were back in the deserted passageway we'd been walking down before the blood circle had appeared. The sigil had vanished from the floor and everything was silent, as if nothing had ever been amiss. And then I looked up. Looks like we finally made it, boys. Kid strolled up to the door with a wicked grin on her face. The true frozen flame awaits. Magil's eyes gave a glint from behind his mask, like glass catching moonlight in the darkness of night. Let's go. Kid reached for the handle. So this is the place, huh? Kid narrowed her eyes, straining to see our surroundings in the darkness. A vast, pitch-black expanse surrounded us whichever way we looked. It was as if we'd entered an impossibly vast cave. We were in a place forgotten by time, unknown to the world, hidden deep within the bowels of night. A gentle crimson light hovered in the darkness, the frozen flame. All right, now it's ours. The light of the flame ebbed and waned gently, as if responding to Kid's voice. What the heck is this place? There's mountains of bloody rubble everywhere. Magil took a step further into the room and said in a whisper that was almost a groan, "No, it can't be." Ah, but it is. The ruins of the lost kingdom of mages. The voice drifted down through the darkness from above. Kid looked up in shock. Lynx! I'll kick your flea-bitten arse so hard you'll kiss the moon! Kid pulled her knife from her belt and threw it as hard as she could. It fell to the floor with a clang as if knocked out of the air by some unseen hand. Still the same impetuous child as ever, I see. That's no way to greet an old friend. Smarmy bastard! Kid gritted her teeth with rage. And you, Shadow Dweller, I'll have none of your tricks this time. You must think me a fool if you believe I'll fall for that again. Magil, who had been quietly slipping into the darkness that surrounded us, stopped dead in his tracks. So this was the infamous Lynx. The lord of this deadly manor. The man who had murdered the closest thing Kid had to family. Who had assassinated General Viper and eradicated the Order of the Acacia Dragoons. A pleasure as always, my dear Kid. And I must say, you followed the trail of breadcrumbs I laid for you admirably. Closely. Admirably closely, my greedy little sneak thief. What the bloody? She stepped forward, bristling. Lynx narrowed his eyes as his lips twisted into a snarl. You know what I want, Kid. Give me the stone you carry. The stone? Did Kid have some kind of jewel I didn't know about? I don't know what you're talking about, mate. She just about managed to recover her composure, narrowing her eyes scornfully at her old foe. Spare me the act, child. I know that you have it. I know she gave it to you. Hand over the time egg. Now. The what? Whatever it was, I've never heard of it. You're dreaming if you think I'll give it to the likes of you, Kid shot back. It's all I have left of her. I'll never let go of it. Not for anyone, and definitely not for you. I'll tell you what's gonna happen, you bastard. First, I'm gonna take the frozen flame, and then I'm gonna ram it down your throat. Incorrigible, young fool. I was hoping this might be a civilized exchange. Alas, it seems my words will only fall on deaf ears, and you are determined to repeat your past errors. Lynx moved his hand to the grip of the ornate golden saber that hung from his belt. Last time I showed you mercy and let you leave with your life. That was a mistake. One which I mean to correct. Surge, Magil, stay back! Kid took a step forward, glaring at Lynx, her gaze unflinching. This ends here and now. You'll pay for what you've done. You'll pay for what you did to Luca! Kid leapt into the air like a bird taking flight. Her foot lashed out in a scything kick that aimed right at the side of Lynx's head. But there was no contact. Where Lynx had been mere moments before was now only empty space. Kid landed and immediately launched himself back into the air, putting the full force of the momentum into another kick. Lynx leaned back, letting Kid's foot swing past only a hair's breadth from his nose. And then it was Lynx's turn. He lashed out with his saber, carrying and carving an arc through the air in front of him. Kid was ready to shove. Kid was ready for it. However, it had already jumped back to a safe distance. The two glared at each other from mere footsteps apart. At least you had the decency to prepare a little better than last time. A red line appeared on Kid's cheek, slowly coalescing into a single drop of blood. Kid! In a flash, she launched herself into yet another attack. Lynx dodged to the side, then made to strike her with the hilt of her saber. Kid moved awkwardly to avoid the attack, losing her footing. Then Lynx was on her like a bird of prey before she could fully recover. There was a gasp and a cough as Lynx drove his knee into the pit of her stomach. Kid collapsed. A steady stream of red dripped from her lips. Will that be all, girl? Lynx gave Kid a merciless kick to the side, sending her flying. She landed on a pile of rubble, her body rolling until she hit a large stone pillar. And there she lay, lifelessly still. Kid! Kid! I screamed her name as I charged toward Lynx. Magil was there already. He flew through the darkness as part of the shadows before crashing down on Lynx like a bolt from the blue. Lynx jumped back, and countless threads of light flew from his fingertips toward Magil. With a droning hum, the threads of light surrounded Magil, crossing over one another. They spread to form a lattice of light that gave off a blinding glare and trapped Magil where he stood. What is this? Magil staggered and groaned, attempting to shield his eyes with his hands. It is a simple enough spell, my shadowy friend, for those inclined to learn it, and one which, sadly for you, leaves no darkness in which to hide. Lynx stared at Magil with a venomous grin. You've been quite the thorn in my side. I'll let you live long enough to regret it. Magil struggled and groaned. I had to do something. Kid and Magil needed me, but what was I going to do? I need to save Magil so Magil can save Kid. Lynx had started making his way toward Kid while I was paralyzed with indecision. What's the matter, Kid? You were so bold only a moment ago. Aren't you going to keep me entertained? Lynx looked down his nose at Kid's broken body. Now do you want to give me the time egg? We can still be civilized about this. I am, of course, a gentleman, and it pains me to have to seize a fair maiden's valuables by force. Even if the fair maiden in question is in fact a filthy street rat. He pressed his foot into Kid's head. I could hear her voice, faint and breathless. It's Luca's stone, not yours. I'll never, never give it to anyone, and no way I'll give it to the likes of you. I couldn't let him get any closer to her. What was I going to do? I ran over to where she lay. She was flat out, still collapsed as she had fallen, and blood ran from her mouth. Kid! Kid, say something! I crouched down next to her, glancing at her face in a panic. She groaned. Then she began to stir, her face twisted with pain. Surge. It's okay, Kid. I'm here. How touching. Although I would be more concerned about my own friend, see him suffer. This is your doing. This is your hand around his neck. Kid's breathing was ragged and blood still dripped from her lips. Opening an eye, she groggily raised her head. But she couldn't get up. She couldn't. She didn't have the strength. Surge! Give me the time egg. You even know what it is? I suspect not. Think of it as a concentrated pocket of space. With the frozen flame and the time egg in hand, one can bend the fabric of space and time and rewrite the past. There are errors I mean to correct. Mistakes in the past that must be set right. Lynx's narrow, emotionless eyes return to my face. How long before he perishes, I wonder. I struggled to breathe, but could only make choking sounds as Kate screamed my name. I couldn't speak. All I could do was make strange, strangled noises from my throat. And then I heard the crunching sound of my neck finally snapping. And that was how I died. Well, fuck, I lost. So we need to go to the main hall. All right, we're gonna successfully do that next time. Until then, everybody.